Okay, hello everybody. This is going to be a one-take video. In this video, I'm going to show you how to hoop a shirt. It's very simple, and the reason I'm making this is there's really no good tutorials, I feel like, that kind of just get straight to the point. So, shirt we're working with here is it's just a Gildan, just a basic shirt you can find at Michael's. I'll give you a little background on this shirt. So this was like a test print. I was originally gonna give this to a buddy of mine, but the design messed up right here. I had some issues with the bobbin thread. It started nesting on me. It's a good term. I imagine if you're watching this video, you might be a little bit newer. So starting off with materials, you obviously need your shirt. Any size shirt will work. Preferably the bigger the better, but another tool that's not necessary, but this is a rotary cutter. This is great for cutting any kind of fabric. I didn't know these existed until my girlfriend actually showed me these. Another very useful piece of tooling is a lint roller. Extremely helpful for getting any kind of lint or hair or other pieces of thread off. The other thing is a hoop, obviously. You're gonna be machine embroidering. I probably should have mentioned that. Here we have a 5x7" hoop. You can do this with any size hoop, really. Does not matter. And this one is optional, but I highly recommend is basting adhesive. So what this is helps you apply your stabilizer. And if you've been trying to hoop without it, you'll know that when your stabilizer's under the shirt and you have it on top of your hoop frame, your stabilizer just moves so much, and it is the biggest pain in the butt. So if you're gonna buy anything, please buy this. This will make your hooping experience way better. I didn't realize that until I got into it. My other thing I have here is just kind of like a fabric cutting board. It doesn't react to being cut by a razor. And what we are on right now is a ironing table brought to you by my girlfriend's mother. I kind of stole it from her for a little bit. And with an ironing table, we have an iron over there. I just have it heating up. So that's really all you need. Well, technically, all you actually just need is stabilizer, a hoop, and a shirt. Other than that, you're good. But if you want to make your life easier, please get this basting adhesive. There's the brand. I got this at Michael's. You can get all of this at Michael's or any like hobby store, like Hobby Lobby, which is great. Shout out Hobby Lobby. Oh, sorry, I'm kind of jumping the gun here. This is one take. I'll try to make this quick for you guys or gals. So we're gonna start off by grabbing our lint roller. Sorry this lint roller looks so gross. I haven't taken it off yet because that would be a waste. We're gonna start by lint rolling our shirt. Just get everything off. Just makes this a lot easier, and when you start embroidering, you're not going to have any hair or fabric threads where you're going to be embroidering at, and you don't want that trapped underneath your embroidery. So I try to get the most out of my lint roller without having to swap it out, and because the name of the game is trying to optimize everything. This was a test piece, like I said. I did not cut off this backing. Don't worry about this. Just ignore that. Looks a little ugly at the moment. So we're gonna throw our shirt on the ironing board here. I like to have my shirts nice and flat before I put on any stabilizer, because if you have some wrinkles underneath your stabilizer, that will show through the front, and it's kind of just some unnecessary strains on your fabric and on your stabilizer. So what we're gonna do now, this is a really crappy iron. I don't have any water as well. If you have any experience ironing, please mist your shirt a little bit. That will help get the wrinkles out. I'll just iron the back here. It comes through the front. If you notice a lot of wrinkles on the front, don't be scared to iron it once we flip it back over. And then obviously we need our stabilizer. This is just a roll of medium cutaway stabilizer. I don't like tearaway with these shirts. Tearaway is just too thin and it doesn't really hold up after a while. I just feel like medium cutaway is kind of just the perfect stabilizer I found when it comes to fabrics like shirts, crew necks, really any cotton blend. So what I'm doing here is I am sizing up my hoop to my stabilizer. As you can see here, that's not very efficient of me. This stabilizer is a lot longer than my hoop, so I have a lot of excess stabilizer. But what I do with that is I save it, because this is just enough to use in my very small hoop, which is the 1.5 by 2.5. So I end up saving it all, but we do lose a good bit. I'm trying to get better at it. So what I just did, I gave myself about 1/4 inch on each side of stabilizer. As you get better, you can use less and less, but starting off, I highly recommend giving yourself this extra space here. It'll just make your life a lot easier. Obviously, you're wasting material, but I think saving your sanity is a lot more worth the extra money. That wasn't said very well, but you get what I'm saying. So what I'm doing now is I'm putting my flat cutting board. If you don't have this, it's okay. I'm putting this underneath my shirt just to have a very flat surface. And now we have our stabilizer here. We have our spray on adhesive. I'm just gonna shake it up just like you're spray painting something, and I'm going to just give this a light coat on the back here. Let's see if I might just be able to do this on the camera. Just like that. You don't need much. And now I'm going to line up where I want my stabilizer to be. When I do shirts, I normally keep it right in the middle. I use the collar of the shirt. You can't really see it on the camera, but you can see the tag here. I use the collar of the shirt to kind of center myself. And I will center the shirt on the ironing board. If you don't have an ironing board, you kind of just lay the shirt flat on the ground and you'll see. Sorry, my iron is making a weird noise. You'll see that your shirt's flat. Like you can tell where the center is. There's really no tip that I have for centering this on the shirt. You kind of just got to go off looks. I try to get even on both sides. I need to concentrate for that. See, I have it off a little bit. Luckily with this basting adhesive, you can peel it up easily. I'd say that's pretty center. A lot of the designs, you can be a little off. You don't have to be perfect. That's one thing I've learned. For efficiency's sake, if you try to be perfect, you won't really even notice when you have the shirt on anyway, because your shirt, obviously, as you're wearing a shirt, it's going to be all over your body. It's going to be not aligned perfectly on your neck. Let's see, we're at 7.5 minutes. We're almost done here. So now what I did was I just flipped the shirt inside out. Because the stabilizer is glued. I need to unplug this thing. Once your stabilizer is glued on to your shirt, it's not going to be moving now, which is phenomenal, because if you were doing it before without that, your stabilizer would already be on the ground. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to put the shirt back on the ironing board. Obviously, like I said, if you don't have an ironing board, that's okay. This doesn't matter. But I like using the ironing board because it gets everything very flat, and then when you have the cutting board underneath, that's even flatter. See, I didn't say more flatter because that wouldn't make sense. Okay, so got that nice and flat. We're gonna take our hoop now, and notice, I don't know if you'll be able to see this, the little arrow on the hoop right there. Match that up with your, I guess this is the frame, and this is more of the hoop, and this also has an arrow, and these arrows, they line up. Let me show you this real quick. They line up, and when this is under the shirt, when this part, oops, sorry about that. When this part is underneath of the shirt, you're probably going to be like, where's the arrow at? You can always remember the arrow. When you feel this under the shirt, it's going to be on the opposite side. That's how you can remember where the arrow's at. I, for a while, did not realize that's how it worked. Okay. This angle's a little weird with the camera. I apologize, but it gets the point across. I don't really have a good tripod for my camera. So I'm going to loosen up my hoop a good bit. I have about that much. You kind of can just go off feel when you're doing this. So then I highly recommend having your part that goes in your embroidery machine out of the torso hole, I guess. I don't like having it face up here through the hole for the neck of the shirt because it's such a tight area to squeeze this through and then put it on your embroidery machine. Always use the biggest hole. So we're gonna slide this under now. Kind of gotta make sure your hoop doesn't go underneath of your stabilizer, and just take it off the shirt. And like I said, because the shirt is, the stabilizer is glued onto the shirt, your stabilizer is not going anywhere. And now this part is kind of just going off feel. You're going off vibes with this one. So I like to feel where the stabilizer is. This part can be very annoying. This part just takes time and practice. You get better as you do it. I'm not very good at it, but I'm definitely better than I was, which is all that matters. So you're gonna look for your arrow, which is on this side for me, where my thumb is. This thumb, not my other thumb. And then I can feel where that little screw is on the hoop, so I know that my arrow is gonna be on this side. So I'll put it down, make sure my tag isn't underneath my hoop there. I got it out of the shirt. Obviously, if you're doing this on the front of the shirt, you won't have to worry about that tag. So just ignore that. And we're just gonna look and feel out where, sometimes you get very lucky and you get this first try, which is always amazing when it happens. I'm just gonna feel this out. This is looking pretty good right now. Maybe I'll move this side up a little bit. I just use my finger to push up the metal part of the hoop back here, just to feel it out. And obviously my shirt is already nice and tight from being on the ironing board, which is great. So there's no wrinkles in my shirt. And then looking at it, I'm liking where this is at. You can feel where your stabilizer is so you know it's in the frame. So hopefully I got it that time. We're just gonna push in our hoop frame. And it's in there. And once it's in here, I like to hold my hand like this, where I have my thumb on the back here and my middle finger, and just whatever fingers you can get pretty much on the hoop frame. You don't really have to hold the metal part that actually goes into the machine. You just have to hold the frame because that's the only part that's really touching it. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull the shirt tight so where there's no wrinkles inside this, the area and that's actually being hooped. And then we're going to pull each side. I recommend you can even use like your phone flashlight and you can move it over and you'll be able to see wrinkles that are in your shirt, because if you have a light like I do that's straight above, it doesn't show any shadows, so you won't be able to tell really if there are wrinkles. So take your phone flashlight, move it around, see if you see any wrinkles. It's just very helpful. And we're gonna pull this tight. From experience, most of my fabric that gets pulled out of the hoop comes from up here. I'm sure that's something I could improve on, but what I'm doing is I'm just pulling it tight. You don't want to put your back into it. You want to do it just to where all of the fabric is still pulling. You don't want to really pull on it. That will make it to where your design, when you're done, it gets like crumply and all bunched up. So you just pull lightly, don't pull really hard, no need. And since we did it from the top, we're able to go through this sleeve and we can tighten up. Ooh, it's actually this sleeve. I can go through the sleeve over here. You'll get it. And then you can tighten your screw right here. Just start to make it tight so that you can make any final adjustments without the whole frame coming out of your shirt. It's not very fun. Push down all four corners, make sure it's flat before you fully tighten it. We're just tightening it. I like to go as tight as I can go. There you go, just like that. I can't go anymore without really like having to break my fingers. Let me get back over here. So now we have a shirt that's hooped. That was pretty quick. Obviously, if I wasn't recording, I could do a little quicker. And to test if your fabric will be good, kind of give it a tap. If it's really loose, then you got a problem. You'll probably have to take the hoop back off and do it again. But if you do it right the first time, you don't have to do it again. So I feel like it's kind of loose over here, so I'll pull it a little bit. if I feel like me pulling on the shirt's not fixing it, I'll hold the stabilizer. Like right now I'm pinching the stabilizer and the fabric, and then I'll pull both of them. That'll get the stabilizer nice and flat underneath. Just like that. And yeah, once it feels like a drum, feels like you're beating on a drum, obviously don't punch it, but give it a little taps. If it feels nice and firm, then you're good to go. Our last check to do for quality will be to flip it inside out. And then we will look at the underside of the hoop here. And to make sure you hooped correctly, we'll take a look at all the corners, making sure that there is stabilizer sticking out. Let me try to hide my other thing here. Make sure that there is stabilizer sticking out of all the corners, so there's no areas in the hoop that doesn't have stabilizer, so it's nice and tight. As you can see, there's stabilizer sticking out, so you did it good. If not, you'll have to, it's a pretty easy fix. You can simply put it back on your ironing board or just put it back on the ground, unscrew this, pop off the frame. You don't have to move it very much, and then just move your little metal bottom piece, essentially. Move it where you need it. You don't have to take the whole thing apart again. But yeah, now your shirt is hooped and you're good to embroider. Now when you're embroidering, you use the big hole, so doing the shirt will be very easy. Just remember where the neck of the shirt is. Let me pop this back inside out, or right side out. Outside out? Because inside out? What's the opposite inside out? Outside out? Don't know. It's a good question. Leave it in the comments if you know. But yeah, there's our shirt. So our neck hole's up here, so you're gonna want make sure you put your design on your machine properly. You don't have an upside down print or stitch, I guess you could say. But yeah, that's pretty much the video. If you have any questions, let me know. And just a quick high-level overview. Use this. This will make your embroidering much easier. Much easier. Yeah, thanks for watching. Peace out.